Hello everyone and welcome to a very unique video on this channel. Today I'm stepping away from chess and I'm going to do a little bit of a different video, and I'm trying to predict the FIFA World Cup 2026. As we know, World Cup is starting tomorrow, so I would like to tell you my predictions, tell you what I think about each group, each knockout stage tie, and each team in general, to see like who will advance from each group, who will go further, and who will win this tournament. So, before we dive in, I will start from the group stage as normal, and just let you know the general situation of each team. What do I think about their strengths and weaknesses? And after that, we'll predict some results. We put the results here, we'll get the rankings, and then this website will generate the knockout bracket for us, and then we can go forward and predict all the results. Alright, starting from Group A. Group A has Mexico, South Korea, South Africa, and Czech Republic. And I think this group is actually a pretty even group in terms of the team's strength. I'm saying even in the sense that I don't think any of these teams are going to be contenders to win the tournament or like one of the top 8 teams. But at the same time, none of these teams are a pushover. So I think this is going to be one of those groups that the games are going to be pretty close. They're not going to be like big score lines, and there are like 4 decent teams going head to head against each other. Mexico, I would say I give a little bit of a more chance to. First of all, because they have some decent players in the team. Especially, I know that their strikers are pretty good. Like Raul Jimenez is a great striker playing the Premier League for Wolves, for Fulham. And I think they do have Santiago Jimenez of AC Milan as well. And they have some decent players. Ochoa is still playing. I don't think he's going to be the first goalkeeper, but yeah, they do have a decent team with some players that are playing in Europe's top leagues. And I think the biggest benefit for Mexico is that they're the hosts, and their fans are amazing. They have so much passion about their team, so I think that's really gonna help them. South Africa is a decent team too. I don't know that many of their players, honestly. Like, not that many of them play in Europe's top leagues that I know of. A lot of them play inside the South African League, like Mamelodi Sundowns and teams like this, which are decent teams, but I haven't followed them a lot, so I don't know anyone specific. But African teams usually not that easy to beat. South Korea, they do have some good players, like Kim Min-jae of Bayern Munich, Lee Kang-in of PSG. They're playing in some of these like big teams, and they're usually like a pretty even team. Like I would say, like they're a kind of team that have played with each other a lot. They know each other well, and they're like a proper team overall. So they're not going to be easy to beat either. Czech Republic as well, like they do have some famous players like Thomas Souček, or Patrick Schick of Bayer Leverkusen. But yeah, overall, I do think this group is going to be very even. If I want to predict the results, I think the opening game between Mexico and South Africa, I think Mexico will win 2-0. So I'm going to enter this result here, Mexico 2-0. And then after that, it's going to be South Korea versus Czech Republic. Ooh, that one is difficult. I think that's going to be very close. I'm actually going to go 1-1 in South Korea versus Czechia. I think both of them are pretty evenly matched. They have some good players, and they're pretty good team overall. Mexico versus South Korea. I mean, the order in this website is a little bit not so correct. So I would say I would just like put the results in. I think the group stage, I'm not gonna really take it that difficult. I think Mexico will beat South Korea as well. Um, South Africa, South Korea. I think South Korea will scrape through 2-1. South Africa, Czechia. That is difficult. Mexico, Czechia, I'm gonna go 1-1. Maybe it's the last game. Maybe Mexico already advanced. They're gonna draw 1-1. Czechia, South Africa, maybe 1-1 here as well. Maybe like 0-0 or 2-2. I'm gonna go with a draw here. So in the end, Mexico is gonna be top of the group with 7 points, South Korea at 4 points, Czechia with 3 points, and South Africa at 1 point. If I want to just summarize what I think Mexico are the big favorites. It's gonna be between South Korea and Czechia for the second and third place. South Africa might surprise me, but at this moment in time, I don't rate them that highly, but African teams have surprised before. Moving on to Group B, with Canada, Switzerland, Qatar, and Bosnia. This is an interesting group. Canada are, of course, the hosts. I would say Switzerland are the best team in the group. They do have some good players playing the Europe's top leagues, like Granit Xhaka in Sunderland and previously Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen. They do have other players like Kanji, who played for Man City, of course, under Pep Guardiola before. Even some like top Premier, I wouldn't say top Premier League strikers, but like someone like Noah Okafor, who has been good for Leeds United. Like they do have some proper players with experience in La Liga and Premier League. So I do think Switzerland are the favorites in this group. Qatar are a good team. Like I know they did pretty well in the last World Cup where they were the host. They had some good games, but I think Qatar declined from the time where they had their peak. They won the AFC Asian Cup. I don't think they're as good as before. Of course, they have a good coach in Julian Lopetegui, but I just don't think their squad is as good as other teams. Bosnia still have Dzeko, but he's 40 years old. I'm not sure how good is he at this moment in time. I don't think they're as good as their peak as well, like when they had Pjanic and players and Dzeko at his peak. So I also wouldn't rate Bosnia that highly. Canada as well, like they do have Jesse March, who previously coached Leeds United, coached in the Premier League. He's a pretty decent manager. They do have Alphonso Davies, but I think that he comes from the second game. So this group, I would say it's going to be very close between Canada and Bosnia, maybe in Group B. I think Switzerland finishes first and Qatar finishes last. I might be wrong in all these calculations, but yeah, let's get going. I think Canada, Bosnia, I'm going to go 1-1. I think it's going to be a pretty even game. Canada will beat Qatar by 2-1. And Canada will lose to Switzerland 2-1. I think Bosnia, Qatar, it's going to be 3-1 Bosnia. Bosnia knocked out Italy, by the way, in the playoffs, so they're a decent team. Bosnia versus Switzerland, I would say 2-0 Switzerland. No, maybe not. Maybe 1-0 Switzerland. I think it's going to be a scrappy game. And Bosnia were very solid against Italy, so I don't think they're going to concede that much. And Qatar, Switzerland, I'm going to go with 3-0 for Switzerland. So it's going to end Switzerland 9 points, Bosnia and Canada at 4, and Qatar at 0. Moving on to Group C. Let's actually put this here. This is an interesting group. It's Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. And I think this is actually, funnily enough, one of the easier groups to predict the top two teams. I genuinely think Brazil and Morocco they're gonna be the big favorites to go through. Brazil, of course, with Carlo Ancelotti, they have an amazing squad. The only problem with Brazil is that I feel like maybe their squad is not super balanced in some parts. Like, for instance, their goalkeeper is Allison, and they have the central partnership of Champions League finalists Gabriel and Marquinhos. So that looks amazing. And in, up front, they do have Vinicius Jr. and they do have. I mean, Estevao is injured, but they do have Rafinha. I think on the other hand, Rafinha and Vinicius, they're like both amazing. They do have a lot of good strikers as well, like Igor Thiago. I don't know whether Igor Thiago is gonna play as the fixed forward. Maybe Cunha plays. I'm not sure. And in midfield, they do have, I think, a partnership of Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes. So they have a really good team, but I think in some parts, like let's say the fullbacks, I don't think they do have as good of a squad as the other positions. So they are a really good team, but they're not super balanced. So I think they're still slightly better than Morocco in this group. I think their head-to-head game might be a draw, but I think Brazil will score more against the other teams in this group, like Haiti and Scotland. Haiti are not a bad team actually. Like I think it's their first time playing the World Cup. I might be wrong, but I think they're a pretty decent team. Like I've seen some of their results. It's not like they're just getting destroyed by every team left and right. The only player I know from them though is Wilson Isidore from Sunderland. So I'm not sure about like how good their players are actually are. But I still think Haiti is probably gonna finish last. Scotland do have a lot of Premier League players. Like I think the best one of them is Scott McTominay, who had a fantastic season with Napoli a year ago. I'm not sure about his performance this season, but overall he's been amazing at Napoli. They also have like John McGinn of Aston Villa, who's a very, very, very good player. And in general, like they do have a lot of Premier League players. Probably not like Premier League top players, but decent Premier League players. I think the best players though are Scott McTominay and John McGinn. They do have Andy Robertson from Liverpool too, but he's getting a little bit older these days. But yeah, overall, I do think Brazil are probably gonna finish first. I think Morocco is gonna end 1-1, but Brazil is gonna beat Haiti and Scotland with bigger scores like 3-0 and 3-1. Haiti, Scotland, it's going to be 2-1 Scotland. Scotland, Morocco, I think Morocco is going to win 2-1. And Haiti, Morocco, I think it's going to end 3-1 for Morocco. So I think Brazil and Morocco finish at 7, Scotland at 3. So let's move on. Alright, let me go down a little bit. And let's start from these groups. Let's move my picture here again. Sorry, this is the first time I'm doing this, so it might not be the highest quality, but let's try. Alright, so Group D. It's gonna be between these teams. Let me actually fix this a little bit. I think it's better to... Yeah, I think this should be... Alright, I think this is much better. Yeah, so on Group D, I do think this one is also a very close group. I feel like I'm taking a lot of time, but yeah, let's go a little bit faster. I think it's going to be very, very close between USA, Paraguay, and Turkey. But for some reason, I don't rate Australia that highly this World Cup. I don't think they do have a lot of top players. USA are, of course, the hosts. But also, like, Paraguay, like, South American teams, always very difficult to break down. Turkey, I think, might be a kind of a dark horse. They do have some really good players in top teams like Arda Güler, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, or um, Kenan Yildiz, of course, of Juventus. They're all good players. Paraguay, I don't think they do have a specifically um, top player who's a superstar, but they're a very compact team. They had good results against South American teams, so I do rate them a little bit highly. But I think Turkey first, USA second, Paraguay third, Australia fourth is my prediction. The results, I'm just going to put something just to simulate. I think USA Paraguay is going to finish 1-1. USA Australia, I will say USA will win 2-1. USA Turkey, I would say Turkey will win 2-1. Paraguay Australia, I'm going to go 1-1. Paraguay Turkey, I'm going to go nil. Let's go 2-2 actually. Who cares? Turkey Australia, I'm going to go 2-0 Turkey. So in the end, it's going to be 7 Turkey, 4 USA, 3 Paraguay, 1 Australia. Moving on to Group E, it's Germany, Ecuador, Ivory Coast, and Curacao. So in this group, I actually do think, Germany is the biggest name. Everyone would say Germany finishes first. I'm going to make a very bold prediction and predict that Ecuador is going to win this group. Ecuador is a very underrated team that kind of went under the radar. Like, they do have a really solid back line, like with Hincapié and William Pacho in defense, like two very top defenders playing in the Champions League finalists, Arsenal and PSG. They do have Pervis Estupinian, I think, on the left-hand side as well. So pretty solid on the back line. And they do have Moises Caicedo, one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, in front of it. And in the qualifiers, I think after Argentina, they were the second best team in South America. And they conceded the least amount of goals. So I think their defense is going to be very hard to break down. And I actually predict them maybe winning this group. So funnily enough, okay, Germany, Curacao, I don't know a lot about Curacao, but I don't think they're going to do well against any of these teams. So I would say Germany 4-0, the first game. Germany, Ivory Coast, I think Germany is going to scrape it 2-1. That game is in Toronto. I might actually be able to go and see it. Germany, Ecuador, I do think Ecuador is going to win 1-0. That's a very bold prediction. I think Ecuador is going to win 1-0 against Germany. They might draw Ivory Coast 1-1. Two physical teams, maybe even 0-0. And then Ecuador beats Curacao 2-0. I actually predicted Ecuador not conceding any goals. And Ivory Coast beating Curacao 3-1. So it's going to be something like 7 for Ecuador, 6 for Germany, 4 for Ivory Coast, and 0 for Curacao. Moving on to Group F with Netherlands, Japan, Tunisia, and Sweden. This is actually a tough group. I think Japan is a team that many people said that it's going to be a dark horse in this competition. They do have a lot of good players. Like, of course, Kaoru Mitoma, I think, is injured though. He can't play. He's one of the biggest ones. But I think Netherlands are actually one of the contenders to win this tournament. Like, I really rate Netherlands highly. Like, let's say in defense, they do have Van Dijk and Ake, who played for Liverpool and Man City. Like, two massive players for these top English teams. They do have Jorol Hato from Chelsea. They do have Mickey van de Ven of Tottenham. Like, they do have some really good people, really good players in defense. In front of them, they have Ryan Gravenberch, who's one of the best defensive midfielders in the world as well. In forward, maybe they don't have like the best players. Like, they don't have like a proper, maybe proper is not the right word, but like a prolific goal scorer on top. Maybe that's where they're a little bit weak on top. But they do have players like Cody Gakpo, who plays for Liverpool all the time, again, of course. Uh, they're a good team. Like, Netherlands are genuinely a good team. But I think the biggest strength is going to be the defense. I think they have a really, really good defense. Um, Japan, yeah, they do have some players playing in top European leagues like Endo, Tanaka in the Premier League. But more on like having players. They're just like a good team. They're very well oiled. So I think they're gonna do well. Sweden, they're always a decent team. They have really good strikers in Isak and Gyökeres. Although none of them performed super well in the Premier League this season. And they do have like good defenders too, like Lindelof. But the problem is their manager is Graham Potter. Even though he did well in Sweden before, like he came to the Premier League from Sweden. So I actually think it's going to be between Japan and Sweden to finish second in this group. Japan are a good team. I think they might scrape a draw against Netherlands. But I think they also draw Sweden 1-1 in both. I think Tunisia, they're a decent team, but I think they're probably going to lose to all the teams because the other teams are just too good. Maybe I'm rating them a little bit low, but I think Netherlands will beat them 3-1. I think Japan will beat them 2-1. And I think Sweden will beat them 2-1. I think Sweden and Netherlands, I think Netherlands will win 3-1 again. So in the end, it's going to be Netherlands 7, Japan 5, Sweden 4, Tunisia 0. Let's go forward. Group G. Okay, that's where it gets a little bit tasty because Iran is here. Let's actually put this here, maybe blocking some of these ads. Alright, so Belgium, I think, are going to top this group. New Zealand probably are going to finish bottom. They do have Chris Wood, but I don't know that many of their other players. Iran and Egypt. Egypt has Mo Salah and Mamouche, but I don't think in the other parts of the pitch they're necessarily that strong. Iran are a decent team, usually pretty hard to break down, hard to beat. And so I think Belgium will beat Egypt with a bigger margin, maybe 2-0. But Iran, maybe they win 2-1. I think it's going to be a very close game. New Zealand, I think they'll win 3-0. Egypt, Iran, I think it's going to finish 1-1. And I think both teams will beat New Zealand. I think Iran beats them 2-0. Egypt beats them 2-1. So in the end, it's going to be Belgium at 9, Iran and Egypt at 4, and New Zealand at 0. Moving on to Group H. Spain, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, and Cape Verde. I think this is pretty clear to me who's going to finish the top two. I think it's going to be Spain first, Uruguay second, Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde. I'm not sure. I actually think that they might even draw each other and lose to the other two teams. So I would say 1-1 between Saudi and Cape Verde. Spain is going to beat both of them pretty comfortably. Spain is going to beat Uruguay as well, but that's going to be closer, 2-1. And Uruguay, I think, are going to beat both of these teams, Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia, by 1 goal. So I think it's going to be Spain, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, and Cape Verde. And I think both of these teams are going to get knocked out. Spain and Uruguay are going to be hard to play against. They're decent teams. Moving on to Group I, I'm trying to go a little bit faster. This is, I think, a group of death. I think Iraq is going to finish bottom. The other three teams are really good, though. Like, I think Norway and Senegal, even though France probably have the best squad in the whole World Cup, I think Senegal and Norway are no pushovers. They can definitely scrape some points against France. Norway were amazing in the qualifiers, completely destroyed Italy. And Senegal are basically the African Cup winners. We know there was controversy and like they changed the winner and all this stuff, but they're a really good team. So if I want to predict, I actually think this group might be in a way that France, Senegal, and Norway. I think France will beat Senegal 2-0. I think Norway and Senegal will draw, I think France might draw Norway 2-2. Norway have good strikers in Sorloth and Holland. France will beat Iraq, not 8-0, okay, that was crazy, 4-0. Senegal, Iraq, I think it's going to be closer, 2-1. Norway, Iraq, I think it's going to be 3-1. So in the end, it's going to be France 7, Norway 5, and Senegal 4. So moving on to these groups, let's wrap this up. Argentina, Austria, Algeria, Jordan. Interesting. I think Jordan is going to finish last. Argentina is going to finish first. And it's going to be a very close battle between Austria and Algeria. So I think Argentina will win all of their games in this group. I know last time they lost to Saudi Arabia in the first game, but I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think they'll beat Algeria 3-1. They'll beat Austria 2-1. And they'll beat Jordan 3-0. Algeria, Austria is going to finish 1-1. Algeria is going to beat Jordan 2-0. And Austria is going to beat Jordan 3-1. So it's going to be 9-4-4-0. I think both of these teams will go through. Moving forward, Portugal, Colombia, Uzbekistan, and DR Congo. DR Congo are actually a good team. I think they do have some really good players that do play in the Premier League. Like I really rate their defensive midfielder Noah Siddiqui very highly. Maybe you guys don't know him, but he had a great season at Sunderland. They do have Johan Vissa up top, who didn't have the best season with Newcastle, but he was amazing at Brentford before. They do have some good players. I think they do have Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well, who used to play for Man United. He plays for West Ham. He's a good player. So I do think Portugal is going to win the group, but I think it might be close between Colombia and DR Congo, funnily enough. So I think Portugal will beat Congo 2-0. I think they'll beat Uzbekistan 4-0. But they might draw with Colombia 1-1. I think Uzbekistan will lose to Colombia 2-1. They will lose to DR Congo 2-1 as well. DR Congo, Colombia, I'm going to go 2-2. So it's going to be 7-5-4, like this. Portugal top the group, Colombia second, DR Congo third, and Uzbekistan last. And finally, moving on to Group L, which is the last group. England, Croatia, Panama, and Ghana. Ghana are becoming good these days, but still not, I wouldn't rate them as highly as like the top teams in Africa, like Morocco or Senegal. I think they're going to put up good fights against England and Croatia, but in the end of the day, I think it's going to be England first, Croatia second, Ghana third, and Panama last. And I actually think the European teams are going to be dominant in this group. I think England will beat Croatia 1-0. With Thomas Tuchel, I don't think England are going to be dazzling, but they're going to be very, very pragmatic and just like controlling the games. I think they'll beat Croatia 1-0. They'll beat Ghana 2-0, and they'll beat Panama 4-0. I don't think they're going to concede, actually. Bold prediction, but I don't think they're going to concede in the group stage. Croatia, Ghana, I think it's going to be a classic 3-2 Croatia. Croatia, Panama, 3-1 Croatia. Ghana, Panama, 1-0 Ghana. So it's going to be 9-6-3-0, like this. All right, so moving on here to the best third place teams. The teams that are going through are Ivory Coast, Canada, Algeria, Sweden, Congo, Senegal, Egypt, and Paraguay. So going forward, I'm going to proceed to the knockout stages. So now is when things get tasty. We're going to predict the knockout stages together. So let's put this here. Ecuador, Paraguay. That's an interesting battle. Like, I think Ecuador are definitely the better team. But with a South American battle like this, I think it can go either way. It might even go to penalties, but I think Ecuador will scrape it 2-1. France versus Sweden. France are definitely a better team. I don't think Sweden are good enough to beat France. They have good strikers in Isak and Jokeres, as I said. So I think they will score, but France will win 3-1. South Korea versus Bosnia. This is actually pretty open. I think this can go either way. I think this is actually going to finish 1-1 and go to penalties. And in penalties, I think, who has the better goalkeeper? I'm going to go with Bosnia going through in penalties. Maybe I'll go with South Korea going through in penalties. Netherlands versus Morocco. Oh my goodness, this is a tough one. I think this one is going to be very hard to predict. Many people might say Netherlands, but Morocco getting to top 4 last time out, they're not going to be easy to beat. I think if it goes to penalties, Morocco is going to win. They have Yassine Bono in goal, which is an amazing goalkeeper in penalties. I don't think Netherlands have Tim Krul like 8 years ago who can come off the bench and just win the game. But I think it's going to be an absolute classic. It's going to be 3-2 to Netherlands. And they're going to go to the next stage. Colombia versus Croatia. Ooh, this is also going to be close. This is also going to be close. I just don't think Croatia are as good as before. But Colombia are also not like a top 3 South American team. I think this is going to finish 2-2. Maybe in extra time or penalties. I'm going to say Colombia to actually go through. Spain, Austria. I think Spain is going to win this pretty easily. Spain has one of the best midfields. Spain and Portugal both have insane midfields. Like Portugal with João Neves, with Vitinha, with Bruno Fernandes. Spain has like Pedri, Rodri. Like, it's going to be insane. Like, I think Spain pretty easily, even 3-0, are going to beat Austria. Turkey versus Canada. Canada are the hosts. It's not going to be easy for Turkey, but I think they're going to scrape it 2-1. Next up is Belgium versus Algeria. Algeria are not an easy team to beat, so I think this is also going to be close, but Belgium is going to win it 3-1. I think it's going to be 1-1 for a long time, but they'll score 2 late goals in the end and win the game. Moving on to the other side of the bracket. Can I bring the other side? Wait, okay, there we go. Moving on to the other side of the bracket. If I put this here. Brazil versus Japan. Japan are going to put up a good fight. It's not going to be one-sided, but I think Brazil is going to win 2-1. Germany versus Norway. Ooh, this is interesting. Like, Germany is a massive team, but this is where I want to go with my biggest, like, I want to have a very hot take here. I think Norway are going to beat Germany 2-1. They're just a good team. They have Odegaard in midfield. They have Haaland and Sorloth up top. They're physically strong. They destroyed Italy home and away, if I recall correctly. I think they're going to beat Germany 2-1. Very hot take, but let's go for it. Mexico versus Ivory Coast. I think Mexico is going to use their fans playing at home, the atmosphere. I think they're going to win 3-1 against Ivory Coast. England versus Congo. I think this is where England is going to start clicking. I think England still not going to concede. They're going to win 2-0. Pretty comfortable routine win for England. Argentina versus Uruguay. South American battle can be a little bit tricky because teams know each other. They have played each other many times. So I can see Uruguay having a chance against Argentina. But I think Argentina are just too good. I think it's going to be an interesting match, though. I think it's going to be close. I will go with 2-1 for Argentina. USA versus Iran. Wow. That's an interesting matchup. I think USA are a better team, though. And they're the hosts. So I would go with USA winning it 1-0. Just like last World Cup where USA won 1-0 with Pulisic's goal and Iran got knocked out. It's going to happen again. Switzerland versus Egypt. I think Switzerland are just too good of a team. Egypt are good too. I think they will score 1. But I think Switzerland will win 2-1. Portugal versus Senegal. That's a good matchup. Senegal can shock. I can see that happening. But Portugal are just, I think they're really good. Like, they're a very balanced team. They're good in defense, they're good in attack. I would say Portugal 4-2. Very, very, very hot take again with so many goals, but Portugal 4-2 beating Senegal. Let's go for this side. Brazil versus Norway. Norway already knocking out Germany, but I don't think they're going to knock out Brazil. I think it's going to be a classic, but it's going to finish 3-2 to Brazil. I think Carlo Ancelotti is too good of a manager to get knocked out at this stage with a Brazilian squad. Mexico versus England. Mexico are going to put up a fight. I think they will score, but England to win 2-1. It's going to be a close game, but I think England will scrape it. Argentina versus USA. I think this is where USA with Mauricio Pochettino will go out. I think Argentina pretty comfortably 2-0 will beat the USA. Next, we have Switzerland versus Portugal. This can be a good game. I think Switzerland will put up a fight, but I think Portugal will win 3-1 in the end. I think Portugal are too good. So now going to the other side of the bracket. We do have Ecuador versus France. As I said, I do think Ecuador are a really good team. And they will put up a fight. They have an amazing defense. But I think France will win this 2-1 in extra time. Korea versus Netherlands. I think Korea had a pretty good draw up until this point, but I don't think they're going to beat Netherlands. I think Netherlands will win 3-0, just smash them 3-0 going into the next stage against France. Colombia versus Spain. I don't think it's going to be even close. I think Spain are too good. I think Spain will beat Colombia 3-1. Turkey versus Belgium. I think this one is going to be close. Turkey are a good team, but I still don't think they do have superstars in all the positions. Belgium are more of a balanced team. Of course, they have Thibaut Courtois in goal. They do have like good forwards like Trossard, Lukaku. I mean, I don't rate Lukaku that highly necessarily. Like, I know he had stinkers in the World Cup previously, but again, like big names in the Belgian team. They still have Kevin De Bruyne. I think Belgium are going to win this 3-1 as well. So, moving on to the quarterfinals. France versus Netherlands. That's a big matchup. And I know maybe Netherlands don't have the best forwards compared to France, but I do think this is going to be one of those games where I'm going to have a hot take. I think France, who might be the favorites, are going to get knocked out in this stage. I'm going with Netherlands 2-1, knocking out France. Pretty hot take, but we need to have hot takes. That's what makes it fun. I don't want to come here and say all the favorites just get to the final and France is going to win it or Argentina is going to win it. Spain versus Belgium. I don't think Spain is going to lose. I just rate Spain too highly for some reason. I think Spain is going to win against Belgium 2-0. And they're going to get into the semifinals. All right, the other side. We do have Brazil versus England. Two massive managers. Carlo Ancelotti versus Thomas Tuchel. It's going to be one hell of a match. And I do think this one is going to go to penalties. 1-1. And in penalties, I do think England are going to win it. I think they do have a lot of great penalty takers. They can even bring someone like Ivan Toney from the bench for penalties. They have Harry Kane. And Pickford is a good penalty saver overall. Alisson is also good, of course, but I actually think England have a slight upper hand in penalties and they will go through against Brazil. Argentina versus Portugal. That's a huge match. Messi versus Ronaldo. Final showdown. And I think this is going to be an absolute classic. I do think Messi will have a better performance in this game compared to Ronaldo. But I do think Portugal are going to knock Argentina out. I think they'll be more hungry. I think Messi will have a really good game. He'll score a goal, have an assist. But Ronaldo will play well as well. But I think Bruno Fernandes and Portuguese midfield are going to dominate, and they're going to win 3-2 going into the semifinals of the competition. Going into the semis, Spain versus Netherlands. I think this is actually going to be close, but again, I think Netherlands are not as strong as Spain on top. Like, they do have players like Cody Gakpo, as I said, but Spain have likes of Lamine Yamal, which is much highly rated compared to the Netherlands strikers. So I think Spain will win this. I actually think it's going to be a low scoring game. I'll go 1-0. I'll go 1-0 for Spain in this semifinals. England versus Portugal. Ooh, this is going to be really close. And I'm going to go with... Honestly, Portugal have a better team maybe by a little bit. They do have a really good midfield, although England has a good one too. Like, they can maybe neutralize Vitinha and João Neves and Bruno Fernandes with the likes of Declan Rice and Louis Skelly, who had a partnership in Arsenal. Elliot Anderson will be there as well. It's gonna be a nice game. But I think England will win it. I think England will beat Portugal just because of the brilliance of Thomas Tuchel. I think it's going to be a low scoring game here as well. As we go forward, I think the games are going to be lower scoring. And I think England is going to win 1-0, another Thomas Tuchel masterclass. And England-Spain is going to be the finals. England-Spain in the finals. Netherlands-Portugal for the third place. I do think Portugal will beat Netherlands. I think with the third place match, they're going to play a more open game. I think it might finish 2-2 and Portugal to win it on penalties. And England-Spain, that's a very close one. But again, like, everyone would say Spain, but I'm going to have a hot take. I know England haven't won anything since 1966. Every year we say that... I'm an England fan because I'm a Chelsea fan. Every year we say that it's coming home. Maybe some of the squad selections by Thomas Tuchel have been underwhelming with no Cole Palmer, no Foden, no Maguire. But I really rate Thomas Tuchel in these sorts of tournaments. I think he's a brilliant manager in the knockout games. I think Harry Kane is currently the best striker in the world. They do have a good squad too. Like, some of the names might not be as big, like, let's say, Elliot Anderson or someone like Ollie Watkins, but they're really good players. I follow Premier League. I know Premier League is currently the best league in the world. And I do think England is finally going to win the tournament with Thomas Tuchel. 2-1 in the finals. And England are going to be the champions of the World Cup. Some hot takes here. I know you guys might be surprised with one of my results. Please let me know in the comments. Who do you think are going to win the tournament? And which one of these results that I predicted surprised you the most? Which result, which analysis do you think doesn't make sense? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. So I would say England first, Spain second, Portugal third, and we'll see how correct that's gonna be. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Have a good one, and let me know in the comment section what are your predictions. See you guys soon, and have a good one. Goodbye.